What is up, guys? How are we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Jedi In Exile. Today we are continuing our exploration of Andor. It's nice to get to do this one in person.
Yeah, it really is.
It's going to be a new thing for the channel, guys, so keep your eyes peeled for all of those great videos. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that stuff so you don't miss any of the content. Brian, talk to me about episode 7.
Yeah, so episode 7 picks up. Obviously, episode 6 was kind of the big episode that we've seen so far in the series. So we've spoken about how the series has been quite slower than we probably used to, but I think that comes from it being a 12-episode series.
Yeah.
So episode 6 was the Eye, where they finally did the heist. You know, they've come out, blah, 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 blah. So episode 7 is like the aftermath of it, where, you know, the Empire has come into terms with what they deem as a robbery, whereas maybe some other people think differently. Obviously, we'll move on to. I liked the episode. I think it was a longer episode, put it that way. So it runs at 53 minutes runtime. So I feel like there's not actually a lot going on. I feel like this is one of those episodes. It's almost like the start of part 2 of the series.
It kind of jumped around a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it really has set up for the next episodes to be quite, you know, it's almost like we're starting again at episode 1.
Yeah.
So, especially at the end of it where he gets arrested, that's obviously going to lead into something quite good. I think the whole storyline around the ISB woman, where she's the one who doesn't feel like this is just a robbery. She feels like all these little, you know, pockets of are actually rebellion, instead of just being these odd moments. So it's really interesting. I'm interested in 2 storylines, so apart from the obvious of Andor and what's happening there. I'm interested in the ISB woman, if she turns out to be a player later on in the series, or, you know, because I thought when she was in the first few episodes, I thought maybe she could have been a spy, and I definitely do not think that anymore. Like, she wants to prove herself. She's a high riser, you know, all of that. The second storyline, and I'm going to throw a prediction out here, is this Cyril guy. The guy from
the security force.
The security force, yeah.
Corpos or whatever.
Lorix or whatever. Wouldn't it be effing amazing if he was like an Admiral Pyatt or something, like a junior Admiral Pyatt?
So like, or like Admiral Ozzel or whatever, one of like the characters.
I think he's going to come into this, because I feel like, why would you still have him in episode 7 of the series if he's not going to be a big part of this story?
We don't know his last name, do we?
No, we don't. We just know he's got this uncle...
Felix?
Yeah, something like that. He's got this uncle anyway, who Uncle Harlow or something, who... You know, we don't know who this guy is, but he gets him this job, so we see that he's now got a job, almost like just inputting data, it seems. Yeah. In this whole, like, huge futuristic, like...
office.
Oh, yeah.
Futuristic open plan office.
Yeah. No longer working from home. So, yeah, I thought the episode overall, I enjoyed it. It added to the storyline, and it feels like we're now building towards the end of this series to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, like, as well as the kind of the 2 storylines that you've talked about, obviously we're starting to get the developing, like, Mon Mothma situation, which is really interesting for me. I thought it was unexpected, personally, that Mon Mothma didn't know what Luthen was planning. Yeah. The whole kind of dialogue where she's
like an extremist, isn't he? Like Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, which didn't really come across massively in the first kind of 6 episodes. It very much seemed like he was potentially like the middleman between the Mon Mothmas and the like Bail Organas, and then the guys on the ground.
She says people are going to get hurt, doesn't she, if he continues this? And he's like, that's the idea. Like, he knows that people, to rise up and have revolution, they need to be in worse positions than what they are now. So he's almost like egging the Empire on to be, you know, to be tougher,
stricter,
stronger, stricter,
all
of that, so that people then get fed up and rise up.
The really cool cool interaction for me was not just her with Luthen, but her with I don't know the guy's name.
The geezer from The Crown.
Yeah, like her friend. Her friend who is like some kind of dignitary as well. Yeah. I just thought it was really clever that it was that whole kind of thing where he's like, oh, let's not talk about politics because I feel like my political ideas might be too strong for you.
Yeah.
And then she plays the Uno switch reverse card and is like,
joke's on
no,
you.
no. But also the whole thing where she's like, it's all a lie. It's all a projection. Like,
and Palpatine has taught me this: if you're looking at the rock on your neck, then you're not looking at the knife at your back or
like
something.
It's like if you're looking at the stone in your hand,
yeah.
then you're not looking for the knife that I'm holding to your throat.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it's really cool because obviously she's such a minor character who's so important in the original trilogy. But she gives off that whole, you know how we talk about layers in white because it's the whole like virtuous thing, like that's the impression that you got from Mon Mothma as well. And this is very much not that. This is very much like she's sneaky and underhanded, and she actually kind of is quite manipulative.
All we think about, all I think about with Mon Mothma is the line, "Many Boffins died to bring us this information."
But
like, very softly spoken.
Yeah, I think this is kind of showing a different side to her.
This is showing
and I'm
the
completely
strong will.
here for it.
I know,
I love it.
I'm really interested to know because the husband doesn't know anything. She says that to her friend, doesn't she? He doesn't know anything.
He's not to be trusted.
Yeah,
it wasn't just he doesn't know anything. It was genuinely he's not to be trusted.
Well, because we saw that from a couple of episodes previous when he had the meal.
Yeah, and he had the Imperial people over as well as
So, but she's got a daughter as well. I don't know how that goes. Like. And I'm just really intrigued about, I suppose her storyline as well, about the involvement, because we know that she's a big player in the Rebellion and the Rebel Alliance, but how it all like joins together. I'm interested to see if it joins into anything from Rebels, and knowing that Filoni is part of
pulling the strings in the background.
It's got to link to Clone Wars or Rebels somehow.
I think also, we can't talk about this episode without touching on some of the really cool Easter eggs from this episode. So
Easter eggs in every episode.
Well,
isn't there? Like, every time we're in Luthen's shop, I'm like looking to see like what else is there.
But outside of his shop, we've obviously got Admiral Yularen. So for those,
that was really big.
So for those of you that watched Clone Wars and Rebels, so Admiral Yularen is the guy who does the narration of
a
Clone
galaxy
Wars,
divided.
But also he's the character that is like the admiral
for
Anakin and Ahsoka. And
then he's in Rebels. He's a trainer.
He's the head of the ISB.
And he goes. Is it when Ezra is undercover at the Imperial Academy with the TIE fighters? Isn't that where he meets Wedge Antilles as well?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
a young Wedge.
Yeah. So it was cool to see him. That kind of. They're sprinkling it through, and again, like it wasn't this big, it wasn't this big like it's Admiral Yularen, blah blah blah. It was literally like I don't think he's even named.
No, he
isn't.
I
think you only know because he's credited as Yularen at the end,
and he's only in it for like a few minutes, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he says that there's again a nod to Palpatine, isn't there? He says how I was on the phone to Palpatine this morning. We've agreed that we need to ramp up.
So we're starting to get him name dropped a couple times.
Wouldn't it be insane?
We might get to see him
if we see Bail Organa in the series. We've got to see some Bail. Obviously, he was in the Kenobi. We've got to see him in this. What if we see Ian McDiarmid?
Honestly,
as Palpatine?
Be mad. Like it genuinely would be mad. Even if it's just like I feel like if that's going to happen. It's not going to be like one of these little things that I would be happy with, where it's just like a hollow recording of him or something like that. I think it's going to be a big, they walk into a room and he's in there and he's having a conversation.
Well, we know that Palpatine's going to feature in the Bad Batch Series 2, which is out in January. So we know that we've seen him on the trailer inside the Senate building. It's interesting that we saw the Senate building, obviously the Rotunda. Sorry, we saw that a couple of episodes ago. I'd be interested to see a lot more of that, and maybe seeing if we see like Masamida and some of the minor characters. But no, it's such an interesting time.
For all of you prequels fans out there, you're in good company. We spotted the old kind of clone trooper, stormtrooper hybrid.
Yeah, that kind
of... It's kind of the in-between period where they're not in normal clone armor and they're not in stormtrooper armor. It's that kind of transition period.
I feel like it's probably the last batch of the clones, maybe, that were still being obviously made, probably at the end of episode 3.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really cool to kind of see that, just as like again, like they didn't have to put that in. It was cool to see, and I don't know how many people picked up on it, that Andor uses Clem as his like fake identity when he goes and helps the rebels out, and Clem actually was the like his friend or somebody that he knew
you pointed this out to me.
Who died, you know, at the hands of the Empire because of that. So that was kind of like an interesting little insight maybe into where his mindset was, that's the first person that came to mind. And building on that, we're now starting to see not only the extremists and the people that have been in the fight for a long time in Mon Mothma and Luthen and Vel and all of those guys, but also kind of Marva with the mad kind of, you know, I didn't walk through the square, I used to take the long way home, and today's the first day that I can kind of say I walked through.
People can almost see like an end to the Empire, can't they? Even though it's the tiniest little thing that's happened.
It shows that there's a vulnerability. Yes. It shows that there is something else out there. And I thought it was, again, really interesting just because she's kind of given it the whole, you know, these brave people, like, to Cassian, not knowing that he was one of them. So that was really cool. And I think we can't talk about the episode without talking about the darker side of the episode, which kind of goes back to Luthen with the him being this extremist, that he sent his I don't know her name, but the assistant that works in the shop has gone to meet Vel, who I thought her part was probably played in this series,
absolutely,
but obviously not, and essentially said like he's a loose end, like deal with him, which is a bit mad because he was essentially told, do your job, take your money.
Luthen feels like he's taken too much of a risk, doesn't he, to get the Aldhani job done. He feels like he's opened himself up, and in turn then opened Mon Mothma up and any of his other contacts.
Yeah, well, literally anybody that can be associated with him who maybe there's a little bit of doubt about. The other big Easter egg, and it came quite close to the end of the episode, I thought, was the Imperial security droid, who obviously we know in Rogue One we get K2, who is the faulty droid.
You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
It's Alan Tudyk, right? And so it's cool to kind of see those droids being used the way they're supposed to be used. Obviously we got to see them in Fallen Order as well. Just kind of cool to see them again, and it's just one of those nods that wasn't really necessary.
How they're so literal as well, like hang with him here or hang him here, like literally just picks him up, and then of course Andor is put in
jail essentially.
At the end of the episode, and this is
where it's going to pick
part
up.
of the clamp down. So isn't he saying before
it would have been 6 months?
Yeah,
and it's now 6 years.
6 years,
sentence.
And they can just do that, and so he's like, I'm a tourist.
But yeah, it's cool. It's kind of cool that they didn't need to do that with the droids.
No.
So obviously the end of the episode, we assume it will pick up with him kind of in jail.
Yeah.
And I think the very final scene was Cyril, in the office, kind of looking at the data and then kind of looking. I don't really know how to describe it.
He's trying to clear his name, isn't he? So I think he's still looking for Andor, because the episode, I think previously we saw him looking at the hollow of young Cassian.
Yeah.
So he's still got him on the mind, and that's where I'm like, he's got to be involved with maybe the Empire later on. I feel like he's gearing himself up.
We are only episode 7. There's 5 episodes for him to come back and
job or something.
And
do
something.
There's something there that I feel like he's a famous character from the originals.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Let's be honest. I wouldn't put it past them. Those are our thoughts, guys. We need to give it a score.
Yes, we do. So our scores have been building up quite nicely. I am going to give this one a 7.5.
So I'll go slightly better and I'll give it an 8. I thought it was solid. I actually thought that this is one of the ones that there wasn't tons of action in it necessarily.
No, there wasn't.
But I didn't feel...
Well, now we've run through it. I suppose quite a lot happened in the episode.
There was a lot that happens.
I didn't feel like at the end of it that, wow, like loads happened. But actually, quite a lot happened. Again, it was like episode 1, 2, and 3 mashed into one, where
Yeah.
we said those were really slow, not a lot happens. This one, there's kind of not a lot happening, but it has actually progressed the story a fair bit.
I think because it's jumped around a lot, we've seen a lot of small things happen that are building to something else.
Well, episode 1 to 5 built towards episode 6.
Yes.
That was like those 5 were all about then building to episode 6. 7 feels like you could build now. Episode 8, 9, and 10 could all have been built from 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see where the series goes from now, especially with Andor in prison.
So average score of 7.75. Nice,
Correct,
easy maths.
yeah.
Let us know in the comments down below, guys, what you thought of this. What score would you give it out of 10? Are you enjoying the series so far? Obviously, there's 5 episodes left. There's still a long way to go.
Still got time.
Before, thanks, Mr. Incredible. Let us know down below. While you're there, as always, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. We appreciate all the support you've been giving us. And other than that, guys, we'll see you all real soon in the next one.
May the force be with you all.